When it comes to a transition, most trans people have very similar goals or desired outcomes. So, I want to feel like myself. I want to alleviate my pain. I want healing, integration, congruence, wholeness, and so on. But when it comes to how a trans person engages with their transition, this is where we see a lot of deviation. And of course, input is directly related to output, which means that how we enter into the situation is going to influence how we come out on the other end, right? So, in this conversation, I want to help you address one of the most common and also most problematic transition related mindsets that I've ever come across. And that is the assumption that a transition is going to solve all your problems. And that instead of dealing with your pain in the present moment, really all you have to do is just transition. All you have to do is change your name, take hormones, dress differently, and then poof, all your problems will have vanished. It's like magic, right? So, no more pain, no more depression, no more anxiety, because all those challenging aspects of your life were connected to the old you, right? And as soon as you become this new you, then you're going to be free of all those nagging, persistent problems. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating this mindset in order to make a point, but in my experience, this subtle escapism mentality, it's a lot more prevalent and influential than most people realize. And chances are, if you were to pay close enough attention, you might just find similar thought patterns floating around your individual gender exploration. So you might just look at your life and all the things that you can't stand about it and assume that once you transition, everything's going to be better. Or really, even if you've already started your transition, this pattern can still be active. So you might say something along the lines of, well, once I pass, then I'll finally be able to exhale. Or, once I get that next surgery, then everything's going to be okay. And for now, I'm just going to avoid my issues and so that I can wait until a moment in the future when my circumstances will have changed. And then not only that, but I'm going to use my transition as a means of getting as far as possible away from here. But of course, running from ourselves, it doesn't actually work, right? And even though it sounds tempting, sure, avoiding the pain of the present moment, it's never a good idea, especially if you are running towards major life changes, such as a transition, with the hopes of finally breaking through to that other side, to that pain-free life, which is waiting for you just beyond the horizon. And so this is especially true for trans people who don't relate to the person they currently are, or they don't identify with the body that they currently have. Because when you're dealing with these structural imbalances and these deep-rooted patterns, there has to be a reconciliation. Or in other words, there has to be a restructuring of this inner environment, which is not the same thing as simply shifting things around on the surface. So, yes, of course, these two processes can go together, and they almost always do. But if all you care about is how you look, what your pronouns are, then you're probably not taking full advantage of the opportunities that this path has to offer. Because underneath the surface of your gender identity, regardless of your transition status, is an inner ecosystem which is going to remain more or less the same up until the point where you turn around and face your problems head on. And even though you may experience some wonderful benefits from a transition, and maybe it will make your life easier in certain ways, still, these underlying patterns, they're going to continue operating in the background for as long as they go unchecked. And so the reason that it is so important for you to be aware of this mindset, which looks towards a transition as a means of escape, is because if it grabs a hold of your gender exploration, it has the power to undermine your entire journey. And it can rob you of the transformational potential that this path has to offer. Because the true opportunity of a transition is to heal from the inside out and to reclaim all of the wounded, rejected, unloved parts of yourself. But that's not going to happen if your transition is nothing more than a means of escape, right? So instead of engaging with gender as a way of moving away from where you are, my suggestion is to use it as a means of coming more fully into who you already are, which is what our strategy is all about. Okay, let's get into that strategy, which is called become okay with the here and now, meaning let go of resistance to who you currently are and come more fully into the present moment so that you can address the deeper patterns and tendencies which are causing you to feel out of balance today. And instead of looking for an escape route, turn around and face the very things that you are trying to escape from. Or in other words, become okay with your current situation first before you introduce major changes into your life. And instead of placing all of your emphasis on transitioning, see if you can reprioritize and make being okay in the here and now your number one priority. Which of course, it doesn't mean that you need to all of a sudden be ecstatic about all of your life challenges, and you don't have to jump up and down with joy at the sight of your reflection in the mirror, but instead, see if you can just be comfortable in your own skin just enough so that you aren't compulsively and irrationally trying to run away from your life. And see if you can become aware of your subtle motivations so that you can start preventing yourself from operating within a mindset that is trying to bypass your current life in favor of this better one that's in the future. So really, this strategy is all about softening into the present moment and relaxing into your body and exhaling into your pain and recognizing that it's okay to have dysphoria. It's okay to have anxiety, and it's okay to have a desire for change. It might not be enjoyable, but really it is okay. So instead of ignoring your problems and putting off your healing work, my challenge to you is to turn around and face your depression, face your incongruence, face your longing, face your discomfort, and more, see if you can cultivate a sense of balance and well-being even in the face of challenge. But not because you are trying to fix yourself, but because you recognize that it's okay to fall apart. It's okay to feel totally overwhelmed, and it's okay to feel at the end of your rope. But just because you feel broken, disconnected, disillusioned, that doesn't mean that you have to identify with those feelings, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to run away from those feelings either. Instead, you can just feel them and allow for them to pass through your body, just like how a river continually flows downstream. You too can allow for even the most difficult emotions to flow right through you. And then if you can get in the habit of embracing your current situation and opening yourself to the here and now, you will start introducing a sense of newfound balance and harmony into your current situation, even if that current situation is a tremendously difficult one. And if you want to learn more about introducing the quality of transformation and healing into your gender exploration, then you should watch this video, and I will tell you about how to do just that. Okay, that's all I've got, and I will see you in the next one.